everyone, welcome to one more part of Discovering the World of Tantra. And in this part I will continue to share my journey on how I started consciously this spiritual path. I don't know if you remember, but I had reached in my previous video to the age of 22. I was in these 3 years that I had discovered a lot of new age spirituality, and I was diving into all these books and workshops and webinars and retreats and all kind of experiences, and then reached to a point I had to sacrifice some old habits and some addictions and some toxic elements in my life and let go of relationships and things that were not serving its purpose anymore, were not somehow aligned with this step that I wished deeply to give in my life. So at the age of 22, I let go of everything. And I went to my countryside house, which is literally in the middle of nowhere. I had this kind of retreat just with me for 2 months. And then at some point, a friend of mine invited me to go and visit him in a nearby city from where I was, because he was gonna go there to keep a webinar. And a workshop, actually. In that time it was still workshops before Corona. And he was going to keep a workshop, and he invited me to go for free and to just be with him a little bit and connect and speak in person. And he was really present during this time. So while I was doing all kind of crazy, wild stuff and experiences, and in the middle of all this nonsense in many ways, he was always there, not making compromises but supporting me very much, and also believing in me when I couldn't, managing to see the good qualities I had and the genuine aspiration that was starting to blossom from my heart. I will be grateful to him until the day I die, probably, and beyond. However, after 3 years, I think he was a bit he kind of tried everything he could. He had to detach from it. I think he learned a lesson that you can never force people to transform. You might think, yes, that you can, and you take people as projects, you know, like, I'm gonna make him or her realize the truth. Yeah, sure. You know, like, things have a certain time to happen, and it's always up to the free will of everyone. So you cannot really force transformation to happen on someone else. So he invited me to go and meet him, and then we went for a walk. He was kind of leading the walk, and at some point I realized we were entering a cemetery. I had never been in a cemetery unless someone died or, you know, something bad happened, but I was quite relaxed about it, and somehow I felt good. And again, it's very interesting because I don't know if you remember, I marked it in the last video, and I said that the first trigger into this world of spirituality when I heard about chakras was in this dinner that had this energy. It was like impregnated with this energy of time and death. And then again, in this moment that we are about to enter, it was a cemetery, so also a place related with death and also with time. Something about him was different. I couldn't explain what it was, but something was completely different. He was just asking how I was. He was not referring anything about spirituality. Completely detached. and not just detached, but there was a magic. There was a... he was different. Something was deeply different. And I started to react different. And I started to feel into it. What's happening here? And I remember this moment as if it's happening now. It's really one of these moments that we can close our eyes and, you know, it's like as if we are there with everything. I am the generation of the Harry Potter. So, of course, later on I also realized the immense symbolism and actually some notions that are not so maybe well oriented in some ways. But still, I'm a big fan. I loved it. I watched everything, all the movies, I don't know, thousands of times. I love it. And for me, that moment, and this is the best analogy I can give you, it was exactly the moment I felt I received the letter to Hogwarts. I really felt it, and he was not, you know, he was not saying anything. But it was just a moment that I just felt, what am I doing with my life? Like, I just received the letter and it's as if I'm ignoring it. And so all of a sudden, imagine his face looking at me like, after 3 years, the guy is finally ready to detach. He takes me to a cemetery. He's like, completely goodbye, see you next life. And out of nowhere, I look at him as if my life depends on it. And I want this. I realize, I don't know. I know this is what I want to deepen in my life. I'm willing to sacrifice whatever. I stop smoking. I let go of whatever. I want this. I want to deepen this knowledge, and I really want to discover who I truly am and what is the meaning of all this. And I had all this excitement that I'm about to start a completely different chapter of my life. And he's completely astonished, like looking at me like, what is it with you, woman? Like, now that I'm finally kind of letting go, you out of nowhere you spontaneously realize everything I've been trying to tell you for the last 3 years. And here I feel it's also hidden a very important lesson that I will not focus on it now, but yeah, it was also part of him going through his inner process and being able to do this that actually also triggered something that was very helpful for me also. So it also shows how our lessons many times, ours and of people that are connected with us, are kind of interconnected, and how we can contribute for each other's life and help each other. There is another element that was very present and important, and I want to share this with you. So this guy from this event, let's call it, from this part of my life, he was someone that made me feel loved, as I think I never felt so loved before by a man. And he was also loving me in this very special, kind of unconditional way. Even though it was like that, and I felt a huge love towards him and admiration and someone so dear to my soul, I didn't feel this polarity, like this attraction, you know, when you really feel attracted to someone, this chemistry. And so I just couldn't, like, for all those 3 years, he was genuinely a friend, because it couldn't go beyond that. And I felt that for him, he would be willing to explore that area, but I was hesitant, and I couldn't without feeling completely that full power, 100%, also that element. I have to get closer for this part. It was like as if a second veil just opened up. The polarity, this attraction, this chemistry between us, all of a sudden it was there. But when I say it was there, it's like it was there fully. From the tip of my head until the tip of my toe, I was completely, every cell of my being wanted to make love with that man. So it was not like this carnal-like thing. It was really like the combination of that attraction with the immense love and friendship and foundation that we already had. It was like a perfect bomb in a good sense, you know? Like, I was so grateful all of a sudden to have that gift in my life and to have him present in my life. He was one of the biggest gifts I ever received. This adds to the whole picture also this element of polarity. Later on, studying the Mahavira tradition, I realized that the combination of time, death, and actually new beginning, this birth, transformation, and polarity are under the guidance, let's say, are governed. There are energies that are governed by a certain great cosmic power that was influencing my journey very much. So this was how it started. After this cemetery walk, I ended up going with him to the main city where we were living before I went to the countryside, and I started my courses and I started to learn more in depth about spirituality, and I had this beautiful relationship which was very nourishing for my heart, together with someone that shares the same aspiration, that was also on a path of self-discovery himself, and it was the beginning of an amazing journey and experience. There is much more to share about what happened since then, since I really made this kind of more serious decision of taking the letter of Hogwarts and actually stepping in. Just to finalize, one of the things I would like to say is that, you know, you never know what's gonna happen to you. You never know when you will step into this world or when the click will actually happen. When I went to visit him and when I entered in the cemetery, I had no idea it was gonna happen then, and yet it did. So I think we also have to trust, that we can only do our part. If we really aspire for more, if we put ourselves in the situation, if we have an open heart and we are really searching for an authentic system, it's gonna knock at your door most probably. I'm no one to guarantee you that, but most probably it will. From my experience, from many people around me, we all kind of started this journey every person has its own way and story, and one of the things I want to do in my next videos is to actually interview some other aspirants I met worldwide, so from all kind of places, for them to also tell a bit their story. And also I want to say, because I know there are some people that are quite sensitive to these things, that I deeply respect cemeteries. So for me, a cemetery is not a place that you go to, disrespect in any way the purpose of why it exists, but simply I have really this affinity with the state I get when I go there, because it really connects me with not losing time, with the present moment, with okay, what am I doing with my life, because one day I'm gonna be there. Here in Denmark, where I'm living now for some years, it's actually very beautiful, and they make very beautiful gardens in cemeteries, and families have this willingness and this feeling in their heart to actually take kids and go for a walk in a cemetery because of the garden, and they stay there and they even make picnics with someone dead next to them. And for me, I had a kind of a cultural shock a bit, because I don't have that in my country, but I actually appreciate it a lot, because especially after having this experience that my journey started in a cemetery, every time I now go to a cemetery, it connects me deeply with that energy of the beginning, with how everything started in reality. So I hope you enjoy these two parts about how I started this spiritual journey in a conscious way. In such a short time in this kind of frame, this was what I felt inspired right now to tell you. And I would also like to know about you, if you would like to write me in the comments, because I have other people with even in other spiritual systems and also on the same spiritual system that I practice. Everyone has a different story, and we can all learn something, and we can all grow with each other's experiences. I embrace you in my heart. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we can continue to do this journey together.